This is Sports Idiot Nation. It is a Wednesday, so time for another episode. Now, there's only been two voices on this very program that you have heard every single episode. Humble brag, I'm one of them. And Jay Harper, the man who does our introduction. Those two voices you have heard every single episode. So today, we're going to bring on Jay again, get into his story a little bit. He's got stories upon stories, mostly because he's so old. T.I. will join us. See you in a minute. This is Sports Idiot Nation.
Sports, comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. Welcome back, sinners. This is Season 2 of Sports Idiot Nation.
Welcome into Sports Idiot Nation. It's a Wednesday, so here we are. New episodes come to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. This is Sports Idiot Nation Season 2, and we are joined again by putting on the T.I. shades, of course, Jay. Jay was on episode 100, helping us celebrate, helping us break the news of what was going down.
Technically, he's been on every episode.
Yeah, actually, Jay and myself are the only two people that can say, that they have technically been on every single episode. So, yes, sir. But welcome again. So we wanted to get into a little bit of, you got just some, you're one of those dudes, man, that we've had 3 or 4 of these guys on our show in which it's just fun to talk through some stories and the life that you've been through, that you've been lucky enough to have some really fun stories. So I want to start with LSU. What was the coolest thing about coming up and going to LSU?
Well, I don't know if cool would be the correct adjective, but when I started at LSU, I was a baseball player, and they had us housed in the athletic dorm. And the guys above my room were basketball players. And all they did was dribbled basketballs constantly, dribbling. But
I'm trying to sleep.
And those old the dorm they had us in was kind of old, and it just had that the old heaters that had the, I don't even know what the heck you call them, but that big unit in your room that steam ran through.
Yeah.
And so there's a pipe that goes, through each floor that brings in the water or whatever the heck it is to create the heat or whatever. Anyway, these guys would bang on that pipe constantly. The basketball players bang on the pipe constantly. They were just total assholes. Dwayne Scales. This is going back a ways now. Greg, anyway, I tried to forget a lot of these guys. They were great players, but anyway, just, trying to make our lives live in hell, and I think it was all part of just to, the freshmen and stuff. We got stuck on the first floor, that were crappier rooms. Anyway, I guess it was just kind of an initiation of sorts, I guess. But but the basketball, 24 hours a day, it seemed, dribbling basketballs, and also marbles. They like to throw marbles on the floor too. So
not that you're dating yourself by any means there with marbles, but
Yeah.
back before your Nintendo Switches existed.
Yeah,
exactly. There were marbles. Yeah. Jay, so I without prejudging you here, shortstop, third base. What were you?
I actually was pitcher and center field.
Nice.
Okay.
I like it. I was going to say pitcher at first, but
believe it or not, I had some speed back in the day.
Hey, man,
and I could pretty well flag if it was in my neighborhood, buddy. I could track it down.
I like it as a fellow exciting white himself who has speed. I respect that. Yeah.
Yeah. Was on the track team in high school and stuff, but
me as well. I ran track as well.
I had some speed, had a pretty good arm. I mean, by today's standards, though, I mean, I could hit the low 90s a little at times, but I was more of an off-speed junk guy, pitcher, as opposed to throwing heat. Of course, it was a different time too.
Yeah, so you were saying you had a little bit of speed there. I, as a fellow exciting white who also had some speed, I respect that.
Well, good. It's nice to run across a like-minded soul. So,
and
good deal.
So you were a track star as well, apparently, right? So we
I
share that in common.
Star, but I did okay. Ran the
4x100
and the 100. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody knows here, Jay. You can be a star. Nobody knows. You
okay.
Just say you were.
All right. Well, then, I was a big ass star. Yeah, man.
Well, that's awesome.
The best you ever saw.
That's awesome that you played baseball at LSU, though. That's super cool. So
yeah, got hurt, lost my scholarship, and
I know.
That's
the way it goes.
The tale as old as time.
Could have went pro.
And back then, and it may still be the same, but back then, baseball only had 11 full scholarships. So, you had to divide them up. I had a quarter of one. I think things have changed now, but
a little NIL, I think, has changed that a little bit, maybe.
Yeah. But, at LSU, a lot of those guys, could draw big money for the baseball program. But, most schools, the baseball programs are not front and center like naturally, football, basketball. But,
right.
But, some of those LSU guys, shoot, I'm sure they are doing well in the NIL.
Shaquille O'Neal, I know, does pretty well.
Yeah,
LSU.
A little bit,
but
he
owns Paul Skeens, Livy Dunn, man.
There you go. You go.
They did well for themselves in that.
They did okay. Let's not get out. They did just okay, is what I.
Livy Dunn, she had like $9.5 million in NIL, man. She's
still couldn't buy Babe Ruth's apartment. Poor girl.
Yeah, I know.
They blocked her on that.
Yeah, I read a lot of the stories about that.
It's silly.
They just didn't want the attention, and apparently she likes to, it's the social media generation. She likes to post, where she is and what she's doing, every second of the day, and
right.
People in the building just didn't want to be subjected to that stuff. I get it. I kind of get it,
Totally.
That's crazy.
Totally, I get it. So, Jay, I got a question for you. So, I know you were on the radio in high school. I know you had a passion for it. You had an itch for it long ago. Did you continue that at LSU, or were you more focused on wanting to go the sports route with not only playing baseball but also just the sports media in general? Obviously, the landscape has changed since you were in college. But I mean,
yes.
Did you want to be involved in the sports world, however that came, or what led you back to radio in general, into your days at MCA and just that whole itch? Because I know that you have. I know your idol is Mel Blanc, which is legendary. So, I know that you have always had a passion for voiceovers and just being on the radio in general, but kind of what was your direction from LSU on?
Well, I still did radio part-time when I could, at LSU, but, playing ball and going to class and I still did fill-in work at a station there, in Baton Rouge, but, ultimately though, I ended up at a country station there, doing mornings, WYNK FM, and that was back in the day when station. Well, that station was pulling 30 shares for Arbitron, which was just unheard of. A very successful station. But you mentioned Mel Blanc. I mean, I don't know if this will show up with the green screen, but I keep this picture of him in my little studio here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we can
Mel's
see it.
always watching
Yeah.
over me. But
The man.
anyway,
Yes.
but no, I ended up, it was a country music radio station. And I grew up, my dad was a country music fan. So, I knew all the artists and stuff. So I had no problem doing country music radio. And it's weird at the time. I just liked being on the air, and it didn't matter what format, you know, at the time, Baton Rouge, believe it or not, didn't have a sports radio station. You would think with LSU there, but there's formats have fragmented more over the years. It used to be it was music radio intensive. You'd have a rock station, a country station, a black soul station, a classical station, a news talk station, and that was about it. And maybe your news talk station would have sports programming for a portion of the day, or maybe just on the weekends or something. It's not as immersive, was not as immersive as it is now. In terms of a sports radio format. So there was really no outlet for me, at least where I was, to chase sports radio or any of that. And frankly, I never even really thought about it back then. It's kind of weird, but
Hmm.
ended up getting a job offer from MCA Records in Nashville. A guy that was my record rep for MCA really liked me, and they had an opening, and he referred me and thought that I could do well at that. So yeah, I packed it up and moved to Nashville, 1985, and worked for the promotion department for MCA Records, and some of the big names we had that I got to work with and know to a certain degree. Some of them are still popular now. George Strait, Reba McEntire. But back then it was Loretta Lynn, Conway Twitty, the Oak Ridge Boys, um, Barbara Mandrell, who was just sweet as could be. But I tell you, my biggest and I've never been starstruck, but I will admit my biggest thrill in that world was getting to meet and work with Glenn Campbell. And, as a little bitty kid, I was, watching him on TV and always thought he was amazing. And I tell you, when you don't know, you can't understand how amazingly talented that dude was until you got to really see him up close and work alongside him a little bit. He was just and funny and friendly. I mean, the first time I met him, it was like, he was my pal, he was just a really, really cool guy. So getting to work with him was a thrill. And also Roger Miller. I know there are a lot of folks out here probably listening, don't even know who the hell he was or is, but he was also somebody that I was excited to work with. He had, aside from having a lot of huge hits way back when and being funny as hell himself. He wrote a Broadway play called Big River, which was fashioned over the Huck Finn story. And MCA had the soundtrack for that. So we had an opportunity as a staff. We invited a bunch of radio and flew them all up to New York. And we went and at the Eugene O'Neill Theater and went and saw Big River on Broadway there with Roger Miller and stuff. I mean, just, a cool experience. But yeah, the country music stuff, I mean, that's what brought me to Nashville. And, was there at MCA for a few years before, as that industry is prone to happen, before they had a bunch of budget cuts and fired a bunch of us, kind of like radio. But so that's but anyway, I was there for a handful of years, and an experience that I certainly wouldn't give back.
Man, I can only imagine. Maybe I'm mistaken. Did you come in cross with Mr. Jimmy Buffett a few times? I think was he with MCA, or was he?
Yes, he was. Yeah, I mean,
that's what I thought.
He was well. He was kind of standoffish, and I'll say that.
I'm sure.
I'll say that because he was always pissed at the promotion department because his records didn't do better than he thought they would, and not that that's unusual for an artist. they all feel that way if if records don't go. But it's a different world now. Back then it was, sales were involved to a certain degree, but us radio promotion guys, I mean, we were out there just calling WGAR in Cleveland and hey man, put Jimmy Buffett at number 5 on your chart. I mean, that's, and okay, maybe a radio station. Maybe they did a little bit of their own call out research and yada, yada. But I tell you, man, way back when it was, did you like your record rep? And did he, aggravate the shit out of you? And did he send you free records? And
that's what I was about to say. Did he send you payola? Did he send you any payola?
Yeah, no, I mean, I will admit, honestly, I was never involved in anything like that. But I do know of independent record promoters that would send program directors at radio stations, send them TVs and this kind of stuff. I know that kind of crap went on, but anyway, but getting back to Jimmy Buffett, he again, he thought that his stuff should do a little, and Buffett's stuff was kind of quirky, and there were a lot of country radio stations that didn't think he was country, and then there were those that thought that that his stuff in certain markets, in Boston or Seattle or whatever, they just couldn't get into that whole island thing, that Buffett Buffett projected. He was a different artist in terms of trying to promote at country radio, especially back in the 80s. So.
Oh no, I get it. I
sat in one meeting with the guy. I mean, it was a meeting with everybody, and I was in there, and he was, he didn't fail to express it. He was disappointed in how his stuff was doing. He didn't feel like he was a priority, and between you and me, he wasn't. When you had George Strait, Reba McEntire, who were, and Barbara Mandrell at that time, and they were smoking hot, man. Buffett took a back seat.
Mm-hmm.
That was just the realities, man. You didn't have to beg people to play George Strait. A lot of the ads you would get for Buffett were favors. It was just that simple.
Yeah, I was going to say I have a lot of love for Jimmy Buffett just because I grew up with a group of friends that were really into him, and I kind of was introduced late. They were self-proclaimed parrot heads, and they really bought into the religion of it. And so I kind of approached it from an outsider perspective. And the joking matter is like, yeah, Jimmy Buffett's upset because his albums aren't doing well, but it's like, yeah, well, you built an empire off a song about a cheeseburger and a song about margaritas.
Exactly.
I mean, that's your empire. There's nothing wrong with that, but you can't expect son of a sailor and come Monday to have the same embrace, the same reception that Margaritaville and Cheeseburger in Paradise is going to have. Yeah. So I get that totally. But I got respect for Buffett just because he found a niche and he stuck with it.
Absolutely.
And wrote it until the end,
Yeah. And I agree. I mean, it's almost kind of like the whole Grateful Dead thing, I mean, they've only had one commercial hit, Touch of Grey. And I remember when that 45 showed up at the radio station. It was gray plastic,
Wow, that's
so
cool.
yeah,
That's cool.
but there's some similarities there, but with the whole movement thing, you know.
Well, I know Adam is curious about this and itching to ask you because we Adam and I are 1 year apart, and we grew up watching the Globetrotter. So, Adam, you want to take this one away?
Yeah. I want to remind you guys as well, we are doing Sports Idiot Nation episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. As you know, this is season 2. Be sure to catch us on social media, wherever you grab your social media. We're talking to Jay Harper, who's got a myriad of stories. And yes, I do want to get into some basketball and just the goofiness that the Harlem Globetrotters, I've seen them twice in Indiana, and just all out goofy is the best I can describe it, because they're so great with the interaction with the fans was the big thing. And both times I saw them as kind of a young adult and then older adult, and just their interactions with a 5-year-old kid is like, gosh, you made their life. That 5-year-old, like, they bring them on half quarter, they spin the ball and then they position it so it's spinning on this 5-year-old who has no idea how it's happening, how it's spinning on their finger, right? All this stuff, and that's what, my memories are. You probably have some different memories, and that's what I want to ask you about. How'd you get into it, and tell us some stories.
Well, in terms of how I got into it, I mean, it was very traditional in the sense that I saw a post. I believe it was it was either social media or a job site, where the Globetrotters were looking for announcers. And I thought, well, what the hell? Well, send them my stuff. Well, it wasn't that much longer when I was asked to come to their home office, which is in Peachtree Corners, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. They flew me in to Atlanta, and me and some other folks, and flew us into their headquarters there, and did live auditions. And there were a
Did you
number
send a
of us.
tape? Did you have to,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would. Yeah,
like,
I sent
beforehand?
them. Yeah, you send them a demo, and
Yeah.
and I've done some other public address and stuff. But I must say, the Harlem Globetrotter public address announcing is different than any other announcing you will do. But yeah, they brought me in for an audition along with some other guys. Who I still keep in touch with, a couple of the other announcers that I met there, some really good dudes. But anyway, after a time, I was asked to join them on tour. And one thing that a lot of folks don't realize about the Globetrotters is that there's more than just one team. Can be as many as 4 different groups, different tours, if you will, of the Trotters at any one given time. They have it's a red, white, and blue. They name the tours, and they are designated to tour in certain parts of the country. For example, the red tour may be out west. The white tour may be Midwest. The blue, blue in the east. I was assigned. I think I was on the red tour, if I remember right. But anyway, we were we covered the eastern part of the United States. We went to Madison Square Garden, the Forum in Philly, but also a lot of smaller towns. Lebanon, Pennsylvania, Elmira, New York. And it was wintertime when we were up through there. When the first part of the season that I was with them, and you travel by bus. The team, they've got a bus with all the pictures and the graphics on it, that say Harlem Globetrotters, and they ripped out, every other row of seats so those guys would have a little more room, in their bus. And the crew, myself, and along with a lot of the other setup guys, the crew, the referees, and the Washington Generals, we all rode on another bus. But it was fine. They they would, they would feed you. We got a per diem for our meals and stuff. But it was kind of funny though. The bus drivers would take these weird back roads, man, to get to a lot of these cities, and it was
Like, where
funny
are we
as
going?
hell. We would go through, um, you know, Gipsnitch, Vermont. There's probably 300 people in this town. And when the buses are going through those towns, people are standing there or in their cars with their mouths open, like, what the hell? The Harlem Globetrotters, what are they doing here? But anyway, we would, oftentimes take these back roads to get to these towns. And they put us up in pretty nice hotels. You didn't have to bunk with anybody. You got your own room, which was nice. Um, but usually when you pull into a city, man, it's all hands on deck in terms of the crew and myself. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm the announcer and I don't have to do, I just waltz in 30 minutes before game time and do my thing. And no, far from it. They put your ass to work, man. And I was good with it. But, in helping set up stuff, we bring in our own PA system, own microphone systems and whatnot into these venues. And once you got there, you usually would go to the venue first. You wouldn't see the hotel till hell late at night. But the one thing though that I came to learn that fascinated me about the Globetrotters, these dudes, they bust their ass. They practice / rehearse 3 and 4 hours a day, every day. When they get to that venue, those guys get out there and they go over their routines. One guy's designated as the microphone guy. He is the personality. Meadowlark Lemon was that guy in the many years ago. So and it's a real honor to be determined to be that microphone person. You really have to show and prove yourself to get promoted to that role.
Sure.
I'm guessing those guys, they probably get paid better than a lot of than your other players. But yeah, those dudes, they practice that stuff. And the trick shots and all that mess. I mean, that just doesn't happen by accident, as you can well imagine. They practice that stuff ad nauseum, So again, it's not like they just show up at night for the show and do it. I mean, they've been working on that all day. And again, they do that every single day, even on days where there weren't shows. We would go ahead to the next scene. Let's say you were off on a Wednesday. We would drive to the Thursday venue location on the Wednesday, and the guys would get to the venue and they would still practice on the off day. And then Thursday before the game, they would practice then as well. So, yeah, and you mentioned the interaction with the kids and stuff, and of course, it's all about the kids. They practice that as well, as odd as that seems. But one of the things that they do, and I'm sure they still do it, and one of the things that we had to set up for was there was a program that you could pay a little extra for before the game, a magic pass. And it allows you to get on the court with the players, and they show you how to spin the ball on your finger and other little trick shots and stuff. And you get to go, like, each player will stand at a station, and fans can get in line and get their autograph on a ball and go through whatever little trick or what have you that particular player will show them. And I took some videos of that that I still have, of little kids in their faces lighting up at that stuff. it was pretty neat to just kind of sit there and experience all that stuff. But people ask me all the time, you know, are all of the the Globetrotter games / shows, are they all like 100% choreographed? And they're not. It's about 90% choreographed. And there is 10% of it that is just whatever happens, you know, because these dudes are playing a game against one another. And sometimes, you know, the Washington General players, those guys can play too. And oftentimes they will get promoted to become a Globetrotter. So they
Sure.
will, you know, they will get out there and yeah, you know, the Globetrotters always win. But there were a few games where the Generals were winning, and those guys they were playing their butts off, both teams. You know, there's a competition there. You know, there's
Sure.
Yeah.
athletes have egos, man, and even those things that are predetermined. The number of the Generals players would still be like, hey man, I'll show you what I can do, you know.
I'll still drop 20 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. They just get, you know, they get tired of losing, so they're like, you know what, we're winning tonight.
Well, they want to get that promotion.
Yeah. It's kind of like Kevin
Yeah.
Durant. This is like Kevin Durant, you know, you can't beat him, join him, right? You know?
Right.
So
no, that's awesome.
Jay, let me ask you one real quick question about MSG. Just from your craft of like, hey, this is what I love doing. That moment of like, hey, I'm in Madison Square Garden, I'm calling a game. I have without going into detail, I have a friend of mine is a DJ, and he went on tour with randomly with Brad Paisley one year. He wound up being an opening DJ at MSG, and he just said it was like a moment of clarity for him. He was like, okay, I have made it. I feel like I am now being represented in my craft. I've worked hard. Here I am. Did you have a moment like that at MSG? Because I mean, that's the Mecca. Let's be real.
Yeah, I will admit, and it was one of my first handful of games that I did. So it was kind of intimidating, I must admit.
Yeah.
You know, and before you go on tour with them, I mean, you go through a little bit of training, but not much. You know, my first experience with them, I went and I just watched for 2 or 3 games, and then they threw my ass in the fire, you know, and being able to know, and that's the best way to learn stuff. And frankly, they did that on, you know, they didn't do that for the Forum in Philadelphia or, you know, the big venues. You know, they did that in Rochester, New York, you know, to where if you screw up a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
So the training period in learning what to say, when to say it. But one that the unique things about the live announcer for the Trotters on their tour is it's almost play by play, which you don't do in a regular basketball game, you know,
sure,
to do PA. But the Trotters is different. And but I will say that I have never had a harder announcing job than that. You know, there were times like you'd go into Philly, we do a game on Friday, 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday. And it was all real high energy, a lot of yelling and screaming from the announcer point of view. You know, the Harlem Globetrotter, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, doing that for an hour and a half, let me tell you, buddy, at the end of the night, your ass is whipped, man.
Yeah, I bet, dude.
You know, and I know that
that's the insight. You don't think about that. That's the insight you don't think about.
You know,
right?
I know there are a lot of people.
Level of it.
There are a lot of people out there, believe me, I get it, that really do work for a living, and they're telling me, you know, they're listening to me say that and go, you know, so he yelled for an hour and a half and he's tired, you know. Well, but I, you know, I remember I caught some kind of little I had an allergy thing going on. So it was a struggle to get through some of those games, especially the back-to-back games. You do something that, there's a noon game and then we come back again at 6, and do it all over again.
Wow.
Your voice and your throat, man, takes a beating, so I
imagine
really,
a player.
Yeah. I mean, I really had to learn how to, I've always learned to try to take better care of my voice, but I did a lot of warming up before those shows. And I don't warm up before a radio show or whatever. I mean, you just get in there and you start talking.
Well, but, for this you did.
This was
you did. We saw you earlier.
Yes.
In the virtual studio. You were like unique in New York.
Yeah.
Unique in New York. Yeah. We don't lie. We saw you. You didn't know we saw you behind the scenes.
Okay.
Earlier,
I've been.
We saw you
found out.
We saw you doing Fred Durst impersonations.
Oh man.
But I will say, it was the hardest announcing job I've ever had, but certainly the most fulfilling, and to see the crowds that are so appreciative of it, and and one thing that's kind of interesting, I don't even know if really it's worth mentioning, but I'll mention it anyway. I mean, the Globetrotters, the crowd's overwhelmingly white. I mean, it's white folks that, just like all of us, everybody has grown up with the Globetrotters. And and sure, there are all colors and all races attend their games, but it is overwhelmingly white people that come out, and nobody cares about, you throw politics and prejudices or whatever may be out there in the world today. That all disappears when people come together for a Globetrotter game, and it was really, it was really cool to see.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what it's about. That's so cool, man. We got to get you back on for just more stories. So you'll have to come out and hang out again. Jay, of course, is the voice of Sports Idiot Nation. So thank you, man, for hanging out. Again, a reminder to check us out wherever you get your social media. There you will find Sports Idiot Nation. Again, new episodes come to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So Jay's going to hang out again at some point. We joked the first time he was on. Shout out to episode 100. That was a pretty solid episode. We joked that you would be on in the next 500 episodes, you would be on twice, and here you are already one of those times. We're already halfway. We have kept our end of the bargain pretty well, I gotta say.
Well, you guys are men of your word,
Yeah.
And I respect that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, we don't respect T.I. as much. I know you respect me.
Not much.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right. So we will. Thanks again for hanging out. And
are you gonna get back? Hey, Adam, you gonna get back to Nashville for any Titans games this year?
So there is a bet on the table, actually. So funny you should bring that up. It's not actually for a Titans game because, as you know, more than most people, as you were sitting right next to me for a preseason game, you know that I'm a Niners fan, and you also know that we don't come to you, you come to us. So instead of going to that game, I am coming to Nashville. And again, for all of Sports Idiot Nation to hear this again, the wager is I have Niners by 10. So as long as we win by double-digit points, I win the bet. And T.I. has to either do the show naked or I don't know. We'll figure out something.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out.
I don't think we talked about the nakedness, but Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
We'll figure it out.
I don't need a
But
waiver on that one. Need a waiver. YouTube.
I would have thought I would have thought he would have already done one naked by now. I mean, you're up to 100 of them. I mean, come on.
I don't even remember the first 20. So we need to go back and check. One of them might be at least tassels maybe.
But Jay, we will hang out because when the Niners do come, when the Niners play the Titans, there will be a watch party, and I will be there. And so we will hang out. I do want to thank you again for inviting me when the Niners did play the preseason game. That was so fun. That was fabulous. Had a great time for the hospitality.
Fabulous.
So thank you.
Was it fabulous? And spoken like a true San Franciscanite.
Fabulous. Yeah, I thought so.
It was just wonderful.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am gonna come again, and we will hang.
Well, good deal.
So yeah, just so you know. But that wager is 10 points. I'm giving. I'm so generous to give you double digits. We'll see what Vegas says as it gets closer to game time.
Yeah.
But right now, I hereby declare. I declared it.
Declared. Yeah.
So yeah,
we'll see.
So thanks again for hanging out.
All right, thank you guys.
Yeah, man. This is Sports Idiot Nation. New episodes again every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, which means we will see you Friday. Thank you for watching this episode of Sports Idiot Nation. Remember, we are on all social media and on YouTube, and the podcast can be found on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Remember, new episodes are every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And remember, because you watch Sports Idiot Nation,
you would be the smartest idiot in the whole world.